Yeah, the girl never bent her. I mean, the girl never even tried to slip a punch, to be honest with you. Never even tried to slip a punch. The girl was straight up and down. Straight up. You know? So, like, yes, the victory is great. And I'm happy for Claressa Shields, but the opponent was trash. I'm sorry to get a big one for this one.
So I'd like to see her unify with Tam. I think that would be a great fight. I would love to see us make that fight happen sometime next year, hopefully soon. You know, I got this rematch with Chantel. We have a...
Claressa Shields has already beaten just about everybody, cleared out the competition, and established herself as the dominant force in her division. At this point, there is hardly anyone left who can truly challenge her, which means she has to search for new ways to test herself and keep pushing beyond her limits. In many ways, that situation reminds me of Roy Jones Jr., who also reached a point where finding meaningful challenges became increasingly difficult. The sold-out arena in Atlanta was packed from the floor to the highest seats, with thousands of fans creating an electric atmosphere and celebrities filling the ringside area. Then Claressa Shields made her entrance, walking toward the ring with 2 more World Championship belts wrapped proudly around her waist. On paper, everything looked like another dominant chapter in the remarkable career of the woman who has repeatedly called herself the greatest female boxer of all time. The night appeared to be another opportunity for Shields to add another impressive victory to her already decorated legacy. But former world champion Timothy Bradley Jr. was not impressed by the spectacle surrounding the event. Instead of praising the performance or celebrating another Shields victory, Bradley looked beyond the flashy production and delivered an unfiltered assessment that immediately caught attention. He publicly criticized the entire matchup against Australian fighter Kaye Scott, going as far as to describe the fight as absolute trash. His blunt reaction raised questions about whether Shields is truly being challenged anymore and whether her dominance has reached a point where the biggest obstacle is no longer finding opponents, but finding opponents capable of pushing her to the limit.
You know, the win was a little bit overrated. You know, yes, did Claressa Shields, did she win 2 more world titles that she can add? She won over 20 world titles? Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine and dandy. I mean, it's something to celebrate. You won 2 titles, but when we talk about the competition, right, this wasn't much competition. And you can see, you know, inside the ring from the first round. I mean, if you watch Kaye train, come on now, people. Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Y'all know, a lot of y'all in y'all heart, y'all was watching this saying, man, what is this girl doing? Like, this girl is literally throwing punches at her arm. What is she doing? You know, I was saying to myself, like, come on now, you got to do it.
Bradley made his position crystal clear. He respects Shields as one of the most talented pound-for-pound fighters in the world, but he believed this particular showcase lacked any real substance or competitive value. Scott entered the ring at 42 years old, bringing with her an underwhelming professional record of only 5 wins, 1 loss, and a single draw, while having 0 knockout victories on her resume. BoxRec officially rated her as a low-level 1.5-star competitor, highlighting just how significant the difference in experience, ability, and overall quality appeared to be between the 2 fighters. From the opening moments, that gap in class became impossible to ignore. Scott struggled to create any meaningful offense, repeatedly throwing wide, looping arm punches that sailed directly toward Claressa Shields, only to find themselves crashing against Shields' compact and disciplined Philly shell defense. Shields remained composed, protected herself efficiently, and seemed to read almost every attack before it arrived. What followed only made the mismatch look even more obvious, as Scott was eventually stopped in brutal fashion after failing to provide the kind of resistance expected from a serious world-level opponent. Instead of becoming the competitive test many fans hoped to see, the fight quickly turned into another example of Shields' overwhelming superiority, leaving Bradley's criticism looking even more significant in the aftermath of the one-sided showcase.
She fought against Kaye Scott, right? Who is Kaye Scott, right? You know, Australian fighter, you know, got some amateur pedigree, yes, but, you know, when you look at her professional career, I think she started, it was late 2023. So not a whole lot of experience in the professional ranks. She had 5 wins going into the fight, 1 loss and 1 draw, 0 KOs, people. And the fight was at 160 pounds, and she held on to 2 straps, okay? 2 straps, yep, the WBA and also the WBC championship of the world. And prior to that, She came off a draw to at least I'm sure she came off the draw to Olivia Curry. She came off a draw, and then she won the titles going into this fight. And she didn't hold the titles that very long. I mean, it was maybe 6 to 8 months, if that. So she's a recent title holder. It's not like she held it down for a very long time. I mean, this division isn't that stacked. So I feel like, the win.
The biggest issue confronting the top level of women's boxing today is the obvious lack of genuine depth and elite competition in the higher weight divisions. Claressa Shields has already accomplished what few fighters ever managed to achieve, capturing undisputed championships across multiple weight classes and establishing herself as one of the most accomplished boxers of her generation. Yet despite all those achievements, remaining at middleweight and super middleweight has created a difficult problem for her career. There simply are not enough opponents in those divisions with the combination of experience, ability, size, and technical skill required to seriously challenge her. As Shields continues to dominate, she increasingly finds herself facing fighters who may be willing to step into the ring but do not possess the tools necessary to push her through difficult rounds or force her to make major adjustments. That leaves Shields in an unusual position, where her greatest challenge may no longer be winning championships, but finding opponents capable of giving her the kind of competitive battles that match her extraordinary level. With much of the available competition unable to test her properly, Shields is forced to search for bigger challenges elsewhere, even if those opportunities come with greater risks and uncertainty.
It was a great performance by Claressa Shields, but you also have to factor in the opponent. You have to factor in the opponent. Kaye Scott, I told you she wouldn't be ready for that, right? I picked Claressa. She looked every bit of 42, had no defense, and then literally was just accepting the punches with no head movement. It just, y'all, oh my gosh. People are saying it's rigged. What is rigged about it? It's not rigged. It just was a competition that we knew. Claressa, they said at the beginning, it was a 30-1 favorite. That's what a 30-1 favorite fight will look like. Okay, you put Floyd Mayweather in with somebody that work at Papa Murphy's, Papa John's, or Little Caesars, it's going to look like that too. So it's not taken away from Claressa. She's a great fighter, and she's aggressive. Kaye Scott, I think Claressa's biggest battle was making the weight. But experience-wise, she way levels above her.
Bradley argued that while stacking a resume with more than 20 championship belts may look incredible in promotional videos and highlight packages, those accomplishments lose some of their impact when the opposition cannot even avoid a basic jab. In his view, collecting titles only tells part of the story, because true boxing purists also judge a fighter by the quality of the opponents standing across the ring. Shields can continue adding belts, victories, and impressive statistics to an already remarkable career, but if those wins come against fighters who lack the skills to seriously compete with her, they do little to strengthen her reputation among the most demanding fans of the sport. For Bradley, the real measure of greatness is not simply how many championships a fighter can collect, but who they defeated while earning them and how difficult those challenges actually were. That is why he believes a long list of titles can still feel underwhelming when the competition fails to match the champion's ability. Ultimately, the criticism is not necessarily aimed at Shields' talent or accomplishments, but at whether the opponents she is facing are strong enough to add meaningful weight to an already historic legacy.
BoxRec, if you want to know how valuable an opponent is or a fighter is, or with their ranking system from BoxRec, Kaye Scott, she got 1.5 stars. 1.5 stars. And they gauge it with the opponents that you face. 1.5 stars. You can celebrate that win all you want. Congratulations. But the comp, not that damn good. But moving on, I mean, look, I was looking at just the history of Claressa Shields and looking at her record. 19-0, got 4 KOs. Now that damn left hook was fire. I'm not gonna lie, but man, that left hook was fire. But But she started her career off, if you didn't know, she started her career off at 168 pounds. And she will go up and down. And you see that with female boxing. They look for the best opportunities in each weight class that they can weight or contend in. You know, sometimes they'll drop down low. I mean, I think the highest or the lowest that Claressa Shields has ever gone down was 154 pounds. I don't think she's been down any further than that.
Looking for a way to fix this problem, Bradley broke down the list of alternative opponents being discussed as possible future names for Shields, starting with mixed martial arts veteran Cris Cyborg. At 41 years old, Cyborg tried to generate serious buzz around the potential matchup by putting a massive $2 million purse offer on the table. She also challenged Shields to step outside her usual weight range and come down to a catch weight of 147 pounds for the proposed fight. The idea immediately created plenty of attention because Cyborg brings years of experience from the world of mixed martial arts and has built a reputation as one of the most dangerous and physically imposing female combat athletes of her generation. For Shields, however, accepting such a challenge would mean dealing with a completely different style, physical presence, and set of questions than those presented by traditional boxing opponents. Bradley's decision to mention Cyborg as a possible solution highlighted just how difficult it has become to find legitimate challenges for Shields within the established boxing divisions. If the goal is to create a fight that truly captures the attention of hardcore fans, then an opponent with Cyborg's name, experience, and crossover appeal could provide the kind of high-profile test that Shields has been searching for. Yet the unusual weight demand and the massive financial offer would make the matchup complicated from the very beginning.
I don't know. You want to call me out? I say, why she's calling me out? I just started walking. Now it's true.
Yes. If they told me that they have money in Saudi for us to box, you already do boxing.
Yes, but we have to figure out the weight.
Yeah, so what was the problem with figuring out the weight?
Oh, okay. If we make it like 147, we can fight.
Well, I'm a little, as you can see.
Yeah, but you fight 155. 54.
So why you don't want to fight 55? Why you want to do 147?
Because I don't have any experience boxing. So you have experience advancing. I make it 147, you can fight.
As far as you have experience in boxing, how do you say that?
No, you have more than a lot of 100 fights. I don't have 100 fights.
I haven't heard of fights.
We can figure out, do you have experience boxing? We make the weight together and make a fight. Just a scheduled fight.
Well, I'm not going to 47.
But you can make it 47. It's for real giants.
And you can make it 5.
Yeah, but you have a lot of fights, so we can make a deal.
What's the difference between 8 pounds?
Well, porque white can lose. Little less, get on straight diet, and you can make weight.
You get on straight diet, you can get weight. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I fight 145, so I fight 45, I go up 2 pounds for you.
2 pounds? 2 pounds?
Yeah, because I fight 145, so I 2 pounds.
Bradley dismissed that demand almost immediately, arguing that the A-side champion should never be forced to drain herself physically just to accommodate an aging MMA crossover opponent. In his view, Shields has already established her position at the top of boxing and should not have to sacrifice her natural size, strength, or conditioning simply to make an unusual matchup happen. Bradley then shifted his attention to Canadian Olympian Tamara Tibua, another potential name who brings an intriguing set of physical advantages to the table. Tibua is a towering 6-foot southpaw with a dangerous 78-inch reach, giving her the kind of height, range, and awkward positioning that could potentially create problems for an elite fighter. However, after considering her overall experience, Bradley reached a much different conclusion. Despite her impressive physical dimensions and Olympic background, Tibua has only 5 professional fights under her belt, leaving her with very limited experience at the highest level of professional boxing. Bradley ultimately determined that she is still far too green to provide the kind of serious challenge required to test a fighter of Shields' caliber. The problem, once again, becomes obvious. Even when a potential opponent possesses the size and tools to make the matchup interesting, the lack of professional experience can make the fight feel premature and leave Shields without the elite competition she needs to truly elevate her legacy.
There's a particular fighter out there that's been pressing her, and her name is Cris Cyborg. Cris Cyborg, I did a little bit of digging. Yeah, I know you in that UFC and all of that stuff, and yeah, UFC they can transition to boxing. Yes, I get all of that. I do. You know, you're a damn good UFC fighter, but that's UFC. This is boxing, and you're fighting one of the greatest fighters of all time. Period. You know, but Cyborg is 41 years old. We talking about the 42-year-old that Claressa Shields just fought. You know, 42. She 42. Yeah, she was old for sure. you know, and Cyborg is older too, you know, 41 years old, 5'7", got a 71-inch reach, orthodox fighter, got some pop, you know, she's 6-0 with 5 KOs, you know, right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to see what's the best or the next move for Claressa Shields, right? What's the next best opponent? Somebody that's gonna challenge her, somebody that's gonna give her a little bit of smoke or a little bit of trouble. You know, I think that the women that I'm about to mention right now, I think that they got, you know, well, one of them got a damn good chance. However, I still
Boxing insiders, analysts, and fans across social media quickly erupted into a heated debate over these potential matchups, with opinions spreading rapidly throughout the combat sports community. Many respected analysts sided with Bradley, arguing that putting a relatively inexperienced fighter like Tibua directly into the fire against Claressa Shields would most likely produce another painfully one-sided beating rather than a competitive contest. At the same time, others questioned whether a high-profile spectacle involving Shields and Chris Cyborg would feel more like a promotional circus than a legitimate elite championship fight between two proven boxers. The growing sentiment across the combat community is becoming increasingly restless, and fans are beginning to demand something different from Shields' next challenge. Viewers are growing tired of watching her cruise through mismatch after mismatch, especially when the opponents entering the ring appear to have virtually no realistic path to victory before the opening bell even sounds. For many hardcore boxing supporters, another easy win does little to answer the questions surrounding Shields' legacy, because dominance is most impressive when the champion is forced to overcome genuine danger, adversity, and elite-level opposition. The conversation is therefore shifting away from whether Shields can continue winning and toward whether anyone can finally give her the kind of competitive challenge that truly deserves the spotlight.
A lot. It really does. Right? Roy Jones Jr. was the best fighter in the world. He was. And he just ran out of ops. I mean, really, he was just at the wrong weight class at that time. And it got to the point where he was just looking for ways to challenge himself. So he goes up to heavyweight and then he comes right back down. He tried to do something that has never been done ever, and he succeeded. No, a middleweight hasn't gone up to heavyweight in 100 years, and then to come back down and regain the light heavyweight title, no one has ever done that. So Roy Jones Jr. was really trying to make history. He was just trying to find ways to challenge himself. And really, to me, that's Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields, she done whooped everybody. She done cleared out everybody, and she's just in an era where in her division, there's really no one there to really contest her. So she has to find ways to challenge herself. That reminds me of Roy Jones Jr. a lot. Now, when it comes to Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, you know, that's like the Floyd Mayweather thing. They're in the right division to have the ops to really do great shit. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fighting each other. You get what I'm saying? Like Alicia Bumgarner is there. So they could actually put together a crazy historic resume, right? And have these ops that Claressa Shields just cannot find. Claressa's in a crazy spot because she's a big woman and she's a fantastic athlete with a lot of speed, a lot of experience, great skills, amateur background, and all those things. She just really has it all. But, you know, her arms on D's and...
That is exactly why Bradley put forward one explosive matchup that he believes could genuinely ignite the pay-per-view market, a blockbuster showdown against three-division world champion Michaela Mayer. Although Mayer built much of her career competing in significantly lighter weight divisions, she possesses the same listed height of 5 feet 9 inches, giving the matchup an intriguing physical foundation. More importantly, Mayer brings an unrelenting engine, a gritty and fearless mentality, and the kind of television and fan appeal that could help turn the fight into a massive stadium event. Bradley went even further, boldly declaring that Mayer may be the only active female fighter with a combination of boxing intelligence, tactical awareness, toughness, and fearless mindset necessary to force Shields into unfamiliar territory. Unlike opponents who simply survive while trying to avoid taking serious damage, Mayer has the experience and competitive mentality to stand her ground, make adjustments, and keep pressing forward when the fight becomes difficult. That is precisely what makes the potential matchup so appealing to Bradley. He believes Mayer could drag Shields into the kind of deep, uncomfortable waters that few fighters have been able to reach, forcing the champion to fight through genuine adversity instead of simply controlling another one-sided contest. If that matchup ever became a reality, Bradley believes it could deliver the high-level competition, star power, and drama needed to create a true blockbuster for boxing fans around the world.
That stadium that they was in, that event that they was at, that arena that they were in, no, you're going to have to get a big one for this one. If she get in there with Michaela, you know, the hood came out. Yeah, the hood gonna come out for Michaela too. Y'all know the way Michaela roll, right? Yeah, y'all know. Yeah, she's a dog. And every fight that Michaela has, she had, last year? Maybe 2 years. Last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she had one of the highest rating shows on television for sports, for boxing, period. Yeah, one of the highest. I think the highest that year, to be honest with you. Might have been 2 years ago. Yeah. So people know who she is. She brings a large crowd. She can fight. That's the fight, Claressa. And she has credibility as well to go along with her. Because she done captured, 3 titles in 3 different weight classes? Unified the championship several times as well. And they supposed to be friends. You know, but the women, they got to get down. Because if they don't get down, even get down with friends and, you know, relatives, whatever it is, they don't get to make the money that the males get to make in the sport. They literally got to fight the best. And so, Claressa, hey, that's the fight. I think that's the fight for you, to be honest with you. The other two, if you wanna honor that, that's fine. That's on you. But I'm just saying, the fight that's gonna get the fans riled up and everybody to really come out and support, that's the fight right there. That's pay-per-view. I'm not lying. That's pay-per-view right there.
What makes this potential war even more fascinating is the complicated personal history connecting these two women. Back at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, Claressa Shields and Michaela Mayer were more than just teammates. They were close friends who spent time together inside the Olympic dorms, building a bond that seemed strong enough to last well beyond their amateur careers. Their connection even led them to a local tattoo parlor across the street, where the two fighters decided to get matching Olympic ring tattoos on their arms as a permanent reminder of the experience they shared together. But as the years passed, that friendship gradually became colder and more distant, creating a completely different dynamic between the two former teammates. The relationship became especially complicated after Shields publicly aligned herself with Mayer's bitter rival, Alicia Baumgardner, a move that reportedly added another layer of tension between them. What once looked like a genuine friendship slowly turned into a relationship filled with distance, awkwardness, and unresolved feelings, leaving subtle tension and unspoken resentment underneath the surface. Now, with the possibility of these former Olympic teammates eventually meeting inside the professional boxing ring, their shared history could add an emotional edge that no ordinary championship matchup could ever manufacture. It would not simply be another fight between two elite athletes. It could become a deeply personal battle between former friends whose paths have taken them in dramatically different directions.
Yeah, the hood gonna come out for Michaela too. Y'all know the way Michaela roll, right? Yeah, y'all know. Yeah, she's a dog. And every fight that Michaela has, she had, last year? Maybe 2 years. Last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she had one of the highest rating shows on television for sports, for boxing, period. Yeah, one of the highest. I think the highest that year, to be honest with you. Might have been 2 years ago. Yeah. So people know who she is. She brings a large crowd. She can fight. That's the fight, Claressa. And she has credibility as well to go along with her. Because she done captured, 3 titles in 3 different weight classes? Unified the championship several times as well? And they supposed to be friends. You know, but the women, they got to get down. Because if they don't get down, even get down with friends and, you know, relatives, whatever it is, they don't get to make the money that the males get to make in the sport. They literally got to fight the best. And so, Claressa, hey, that's the fight. I think that's the fight for you, to be honest with you. The other two, if you wanna honor that, that's fine. That's on you. But I'm just saying, the fight that's gonna get the fans riled up and everybody to really come out and support, that's the fight right there. That's pay-per-view. I'm not lying.
When Michaela Mayer was confronted with Bradley's call-out, she did not hesitate for even a second before accepting the challenge and embracing the smoke. Mayer fired back by arguing that Claressa Shields' biggest advantage has always been her exceptional hand speed, especially considering that she carries that lightweight style speed into the heavier divisions. But Mayer insisted that she can match Shields in that exact area, claiming she possesses the same kind of speed, punch volume, work rate, and conditioning needed to compete with her over the course of a demanding fight. Rather than backing away from the challenge, Mayer made it clear that she welcomes the opportunity to prove herself against one of the most accomplished fighters in women's boxing. She also emphasized that female fighters cannot afford to avoid friends or familiar opponents when a monumental payday and a career-changing opportunity are sitting on the table. According to Mayer's position, personal history should not prevent two elite competitors from sharing the ring when the stakes are this high. Most importantly, she openly agreed to move all the way up to 160 pounds for the potential showdown, without asking Shields to drain herself or negotiate some unusual catchweight to make the fight happen. That willingness immediately made the matchup even more intriguing, because Mayer would be accepting the challenge on Shields' terms while betting that her speed, volume, conditioning, and determination could overcome the natural size difference. If the fight ever comes together, it could finally give Shields the kind of opponent willing to meet her at the higher weight and test her without excuses.
The three names she threw out after her fight were me, Tam, and Lauren Price, and those are some tough fights. All three of us I think would be great fights against Claressa Shields. So if she comes for all of us, got to give her props for that.
What did you think of her fight in Atlanta over the weekend?
I think she looked good. I think she's been looking good. I think she's always looked good. I knew she would win. I didn't think Kaye had a chance, but I think a lot of people knew that. But hey, she had the belt, so she took the champion, and Kaye was the champion. So I'd like to see her unify with Tam. I think that would be a great fight. I would love to see us make that fight happen sometime next year, hopefully soon. You know, I got these rematch with Chantel. We have a rematch clause, so we'll have to do that twice, but love to have Claressa Shields next.
Yeah, she said, I think on Shannon Sharp's show, that she's not going down to 54. So it sounds like...
She's already said that to me. Yeah, that's been clear. I think she could. She made 160. She looked good. I think she could probably go 154, but I'm not going to demand that of her. You know, I agreed I'll meet her at 160. I'm nowhere near 160, but I'll do what I got to do. I think I have the skill and the speed and the experience and the timing and all that. I'm going to use what I have, you know. I don't think I need the weight to beat her. I think
The stage is now set for what could become the biggest American super fight in the history of women's boxing. A blockbuster showdown with enough star power to potentially fill Detroit's Ford Field or completely rock the Las Vegas Strip. Everything is now in place, and the ball is entirely in the champion's court. The question is whether Claressa Shields will remain comfortable continuing to clean out what critics describe as paper champions in shallow divisions, or whether she will finally take the biggest risk of her career and put her unbeaten record on the line against a former friend who appears ready to expose every weakness she can find. A fight between Shields and Michaela Mayer would bring far more than championship belts into the equation. It would combine elite-level talent, major financial stakes, Olympic history, personal tension, and the kind of rivalry that could capture the attention of the entire boxing world. For Shields, accepting the challenge would mean stepping into unfamiliar territory against an opponent who has openly welcomed the move to 160 pounds and refuses to make excuses about the size difference. For Mayer, it would be the ultimate opportunity to prove that her speed, volume, conditioning, and boxing IQ can stand alongside one of the most decorated fighters in the sport. Now, all that remains is for the champion to decide whether she wants the biggest challenge available. So, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.